Hey everybody, it's Mitch and welcome to my next video. Today we have got another Dungeons & Dragons Prestige class review. And today we are coming straight out of the Races of the Wild. And we've got the Luckstealer. I don't know what's with that Irish accent, but bad Irish accent too. But anyways, yeah, they're the Luckstealer. So now the Luckstealer, what are they? Well, let's start off with what it takes to become a Luckstealer. First off, you got to be a halfling. So it's got that nice little race requirement there. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind. It also requires 9 ranks of profession gambler, which, okay, not a particularly useful skills. Interesting though. It requires a feat called Dolathun's Luck, which is unique, which is a feat that's described in the Races of the Wild, which not a great feat to be honest. It gives you I believe a +5 on any single saving throw, which is really nice. In exchange for, I believe it's a -2 on all saving throws for the rest of the day. Basically, they're a little more specific than that. I think it's to like sundown or something, but basically till the end of the day. In addition, it requires you to be able to cast at least 3rd level spells. So if you wanted to go in this through Wizard, that'd be 5th level, Sorcerer 6th, which Sorcerer is actually kind of the better option. You can also do it with Druid or Cleric. Not the greatest ways; those would both be 5th, but this doesn't fit as well. Actually, no, Druid wouldn't work. Cleric would, because it says domain luck for divine spellcasters, which druids don't get domains. So I think there is a way to get them, but for the most part, that's not really a thing. So basically, you're looking at wizard, sorcerer, cleric would be your options to get into this. Bard also works, but Bard doesn't work as well. They say because it doesn't help with your bardic stuff, which is true, but the real reason is bards are really only about a 3/4 caster. So, and this advances spellcasting ability, but it would raise it at bard rate, which is only 3/4. So you really don't get the full benefit out of that if you're going the bard route. So you really want to go. It's already somewhat of a 3/4 thing. So it's just not a great idea for a bard. For wizard or sorcerer, excellent. I'd say sorcerer would be your better option, even though they kind of push wizard more. So what do they get? Let's look at it. They have a bad base attack. That's one reason why you don't want to go cleric. Clerics tend to be somewhat of melee fighters. Bad fort and reflex save. Again, reflex, not surprising. Pretty much all casting classes have that. Fortitude save, that's a little bit of an ouch. Goodwill save, again, not a surprise. Pretty much every casting class has a goodwill save. I don't believe there are any that don't. Then they also get spell casting. So their caster level will advance at most levels, but it won't at 1st, 7th, or 10th, which are levels that they get big stuff for themselves, but they don't get their spellcasting advance at those 3 levels, which is kind of a big deal. But what do they get? They get Curse of the Fate Spurned, which basically what they can do is they can try and curse somebody, which will make it so that they take penalties on a bunch of stuff, and their enemy will, and in exchange, they gain that bad luck as good luck for themselves. Like they steal the luck from somebody, as their name implies, as Luckstealer. And then they can use that luck to do a bunch of different stuff. They can add it to their saves. They also have a few abilities that I'm going to get into in a sec that they can also add that to. They also have something called Subtle Magic, which is actually kind of cool. Basically, it makes it so that if somebody's using divine casting or divination to, try and figure out what the spell they're using, they can just say, they can just make it so that, actually they don't even they just will make it so that they just won't be able to figure it out. Their spell casting is just more subtle. So that's kind of cool. So yeah. Then after that, they also get something called Lucky Magic, which basically makes it so that they can get. Oh, that one's really cool. What that one will do is they can spend a couple of their luck points to, or actually, they don't even spend luck points. What this one does is it just makes it so that whenever they roll something with variable numeric effects, dice rolls, uh, well, they can just re-roll some of those dice. So if you did Fireball, for example, which at max would be dealing what uh, 10d6 damage, so they could re-roll 2 of those dice. So generally, you're going to get a few ones or twos in there. Re-roll those. Uh, you have to keep the results though. So if you get if you get a bunch of sixes and then a couple fives, don't re-roll the fives. That's just bad. But so if you roll super high, maybe don't use it. But if you're not rolling super high on your initial roll, definitely use it. And it's a min of 1, so if you're only dealing like magic missile, and for some reason it's not powered up, which it wouldn't be for any reason. But let's just say or say there's another spell that just does a single die roll. You can re-roll that die, so it's got a minimum of 1. Generally, it's every 5th die, but it does have a minimum of 1. They also have something called Desperate Recall. Now, at Desperate Recall, what that will do, that and Lucky Magic are both ones that come at 4th level, so that's not even a level where they don't get stuff. But Desperate Recall, they can use some of those luck points that they stole in order to basically make it so that they can recall magic that they've already used. So spell slots, if they were a sorcerer, spell slots that they've already used, they can get back. If they're a wizard, they can just re-remember any spell that they wanted that's already been cast, as if it hadn't been cast in the first place. So kind of useful. That one's a little better for wizard, just because you can use the fact, because wizards, they have to prepare their spells, so they can get back a specific spell that they've already cast. Maybe they needed to cast it again. They still have spell slots, but they really needed that particular one. So it's more useful for wizards because wizards are more restricted. Sorcerers, it's less useful for because they're less restricted. Yeah. So in addition to that, you also have, and it also has the fact that you don't even if you don't have any more luck points, you can still use this ability. It's limited to so many times per day, but there are penalties. So if you don't have enough luck points to do it, I think it's 2 or it's like 2 or 3. You can still use. I think it's 3 actually. So if you don't have the 3 luck points currently, what you can do is you can get rid of all your luck points. So if you had 1 or 2 or 0, you go down to 0, and then you just take a -1 to a lot of stuff. I think it's saves, attack rolls, AC, like a lot of things. That lasts for a minute, and that will stack with itself. It'll also stack with that feat that was required, the Dantharan's Luck, as well as another ability that I'm going to get into in a sec. That's actually one of their better ones. So that's kind of cool. They also have something called Curse of the Black Cloud. Basically, all that is Curse of the Fate Sponge, but it's now an area of effect instead of just a target, so you can hit a bunch of guys at once. That's really the only difference between those two. So it's better, but only in that you can hit more guys with it, and I think there's it's more limited in how often you can use it. They also get another ability. This one's one of their best ones. It's Fate Proof. What it does is it basically lets them get a precognition, so they can actually see bad things that happen. So they can get a reroll on an attack roll, or they can make somebody reroll their attack roll if they were attacking them, or if they were being forced to make a save, they could reroll that save. And what's really cool about this, a lot of things get things like that, but those always says, oh, you have to do it after you've rolled, but before you find out the result. No, not with this one. This one, it says you do it after you figured out the full effects of the result. So you get to know how much damage you were hit with before you bother to roll this. You get to know whether it killed you or not. You also get to know, say for instance, if the enemy had like had improved grapple, and after hitting you, they got you in a grapple. You wouldn't have known that, but you saw that, and now they can have to re-roll their attack roll. because that's just because you had the precognition. You saw them attack you. You saw them get in the grapple, and then you're like, yeah, I'm going to dodge out of the way of that. But you do get to see the full results first. So if you know you fail, but it wasn't what the negative sides weren't that bad, like they didn't do that much damage or whatever. It wasn't a big deal that you got hit with it. You can just say, I'm not going to use the ability on this. I'm just going to take it. But if it is bad, then you can use it. So you don't have to know. You don't have to risk it. You get to know exactly what you're getting for this, other than the fact that you still have the reroll and you could still fail, and it could actually end up being worse, and you have to take that. So say it was bad, you use it, and it wasn't actually as bad as it could have been. It could have been worse, and they reroll and it's worse. Well, you got the worse. So it can backfire, but it's far less likely to than most things that have similar abilities. This one takes 5 luck points, and if you don't have the 5 luck points, similar to it, Desperate Recall, you can instead drop down to 0 luck points, even if you were currently at 0 luck points. And in doing so, you would then take a minus 2 to all the same things that you had from Desperate Recall, which is a lot of stuff. It stacks again with itself, as well as the Desperate Recall, as well as with Delilah's, Delilah Thune's luck. So, not great, and yeah, stacking sounds great, but stacking bad things isn't. So, yeah. As for luck pools, the reason why I say sorcerer, how luck pool works is you have a maximum amount of luck points you're allowed to have at any time, and that is equal to your charisma bonus. So that sorcerers are going to tend to have a higher charisma bonus because that affects their spell casting. So it does complement sorcerer a little better, which is why I would say sorcerer is the much better option over wizard. Yeah. It does require a few more levels to get in that way, but it's just better. Let's see what else. Luck only lasts for a minute, so once you've gained the luck points from Curse of the Faithspun or Curse of the Black Cloud. Speaking of which, the book actually has a cool illustration of Curse of the Black Cloud. Yes, that's a pretty sick illustration there. So that's kind of cool that they happen to have that. They got 2 pictures. That's actually kind of rare. So, but anyways, yeah, the fate points last for a minute. Your luck pool lasts for a minute. They'll go away a minute after you've taken them, which is 10 rounds. So, not super long. Quite a long time in combat. So if you use it in combat, you're basically going to get it for the rest of combat, probably. I've been playing it for a long time, and it's very rare I see combats that go longer than 10 rounds. They're almost always wrapped up before 10. Even the longer combats tend to go maybe 6 rounds at most. I've never seen them go full 10 rounds. It's like ever. I know it can happen. I personally have not seen it. I suspect it's from other DMs and other players. Had some pretty similar experiences on that. Combat, when done right, doesn't last that long. So it will generally last you until the end of combat. Possibly the next one if you have another battle immediately after. But otherwise, it's probably just going to be that battle because it's a minute. That's not that long. So if you're out of combat, there's almost always more than a minute gap between combats. Almost always. The enemies would have to be literally right on you for that not to be the case, or just a few yards out and very quickly approaching, like close enough to see in the distance generally, or maybe there's a hill. It's very complicated. There's a lot of things that could happen, but basically you get one combat is how long they'll last. That's really all there is to Fate Spinner. It's a pretty interesting class. Or sorry, not Fate Spinner, Luckstealer. I don't know why I said Fate Spinner. Fate Spurned is one of their abilities. Anyways, so Luckstealer, really cool class. Or at least really interesting class. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you'd like to see more, please hit the subscribe button. If you really like the video, please share it with your friends. That would really help me out. Anyways, as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you.